Yeah. Well, like I'm literally right now, it's like, okay, well, we're both talking into microphones. Is this technically the start?
Could be.
Of the show. Whatever. We really need a podcast network. That's like got to be, we need like a podcast network name, even though there's only 2 podcasts on the network and me and you are essentially on both of those podcasts at this point. You know, I know I'm not officially on Goblin and Ogre, but I'm just on every week practically. So I'm filling the Matt Baxter role currently, I believe, of Goblin and Ogre.
I like to shoot high. I like to say it's the Big J Okerson role, and he's going to join one day.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there.
That Big J's going to join Goblin and Ogre?
Yeah,
is that what you're implying?
Yeah, you're in Big J's seat.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah. Well,
maybe I should have gone even higher. I like him a lot, but maybe Bill Burr is joining Goblin and Ogre eventually.
No, Jay. Well, you think I'd be unhappy with Jay's career?
No. But I'm saying even high. Maybe if I'm lying.
Yeah.
Let's lie all the way.
I remember once when I was closer with Andrew Schultz, and I do like to periodically remind people that I told him once that I'd be happy because, you know, like you could understand when you meet people who get crazy famous, there is always something about them even before they're famous that you can kind of tell they're going to be. Like I met Amy Schumer after she was huge.
Right.
But I don't mean physically. I mean like in success.
Yeah.
And she like you could tell that she probably always carried herself in the same way of just knowing. Like Jay will say, mention Jay, the same thing about Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
They just always, and Schultz always carried himself like Schultz was going to be a star. Like and it's not like he would even say that or whatever, but he did have a mentality. Because one time I said I would be happy to be the Neil Brennan to his Chappelle. And I remember he got mad at me about that. And like, because he just thought I was like selling myself short. Yeah. And now, fast forward 10 years from that moment, boy, would it be nice to be Neil Brennan right now.
Yes.
I was just like, I thought Neil Brennan has a perfectly good. There are people who don't get, like, I've always said I'd rather be Elvis Costello than Elvis Presley.
Right.
You know what I mean? Alive, one, yeah. But like a certain level of fame takes all your freedom away from you. You know, like, and I know that people go like, oh, that's rich people's tears and shit. But like, you're saying that from your life that is anonymous, that you get to enjoy in whatever way. That's why comedy success for a long time was the best success, because we weren't famous. We were Louis C.K. for the most part. Obviously, before the jacking off stuff, no matter how big Louis was, Louis could kind of live in the world. Jerry Seinfeld doesn't have a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Like Jerry Seinfeld walks around New York City and enjoys it unprotected. Like now, Jerry Seinfeld's obviously a weird example because he's going to be famous everywhere he goes. But to me, like in our field, I think the person doing it best is Ari Shaffir, because you don't know who Ari Shaffir is unless you love or hate, but most likely love Ari Shaffir. So, like, he gets to just go to a concert and go to a theme park. Like, there's so many things in my life I like to do that being famous would ruin. Would there be a bunch of new stuff I get to do that I don't get to do currently that would be added onto the pile? Sure. But how many of those get ruined too? Because that's just money for the most part. Fame doesn't really, there's not really much, I think, that fame would add to my life that isn't the money from fame.
Yeah. Like what? I guess it would have to be the type of person that enjoys getting into places.
And I don't care. I would rather pay. If I want to go to something badly enough, if I'm famous, if I'm rich enough as a famous person, I can afford to go to that thing. Otherwise, what is it exactly that like I'm trying to get? When I look at like Gillis's life, you go like, okay, what is Gillis enjoying more now? Obviously the planes and the fucking and the money and the fine. We're saying you have the money. What does being famous add to Shane's life?
He's a football guy. He's around.
So that was the first thing I was going to say
yeah.
is what would I do with that? I would try to become friends with as many like Toronto Raptors as I could. I would be like next to Drake courtside, not because I want to sit next to Drake, but because I want to be close to the fucking Raptors game.
Right.
So like, yes, access to a certain type of celebrity, but then how many celebrities does that ruin? Because like, I don't like most people. So chances are if I then all of a sudden had access to all the basketball players in the world, how many of those players am I going to end up going, you know what I mean? Like Brendan Ingram's a hand job. You know what I mean? Like it's probably going to ruin a lot of those people for you.
Most athletes apparently are kind of cunty.
Probably hand jobby. They've been pretty, you have to understand the life of an athlete is like so different than the life of a comedian because no comedian starts getting, nobody when they're 14 is funny enough that people start going, hey, fucking keep an eye on this kid and treat him special because he's fucking funny and we don't know where that's going to go. But if you're 6'3" at 14 and you can fucking dribble a basketball, people start paying attention to you and you get coddled in a different way. So like athlete success comes from such an early age that it would have to fuck you up. Like there's no way to come out of an athlete life and kind of be normal. That's why John Daly's the greatest athlete. Because he's just a guy.
Yeah.
You know, there was nothing physically special about him. Like, I think that's probably why we always root for fat guy athletes. Not just because it's fun and relatable, but also because it's like, I don't think anyone saw, do you remember David Wells?
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah. Do you think anyone growing up looked at David Wells and went like, oh yeah, that kid's special? He was probably just another fat kid in his school.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the only counter argument to this is there a basketball guy is fatty Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Got a lot of attention, but immediately they were also like, hey, you're a fat animal. Yeah.
It is like, he's super interesting. So I'll always have a special place in my heart for Zion because his first game in the NBA was a very special night for me because it was the coolest I ever want to fight. I happened to be in New Orleans, when he was a rookie, and he was injured. He was still injured to start the season from his being too fat for his shoes thing at Duke.
Yeah.
And he had like jumped out of his shoes broke on a jump, and he was injured to start the season from that. I think he had re-injured it, but regardless, he didn't play the first, let's say, this was in January. So from October to January of the season, he didn't play yet. So I'm in New Orleans. I see, Zion's playing his first game today. And, you know, people thought that Zion was going to be like, he was hyped up to be the next dude. So I look, tickets are $5. They got to take the Pelicans away from them. Like nothing will ever make that franchise work. If Zion's first game was not enough to make it more expensive than $5 to get into the building, take the fucking team away.
I don't understand. It's because they're football people? Is that why?
I guess, but you're just like, what point? I guess because there's too much to do, ultimately. You know, like, it's not just football. Listen, Chris Rock, I think, said this about Madison Square Gardens. You're not competing with the other comedians. You're competing with everything that plays Madison Square Gardens. You've got to be better than the Rolling Stones the night before and whatever. In New Orleans, you got to be better than football and jazz and bars. And, you know, there's too many things and people just don't give a shit. But anyways, so I go to Zion's first game. He drains like 5 threes in the fourth quarter. It was so exciting. But they put him on a minutes limit and they just lost because he couldn't play enough minutes. But anyways, we're leaving the game. And in New Orleans, you can sell booze on the street. You don't need a license or anything. So, you know, the unhoused or maybe not fully unhoused, but sort of
derelicts.
Derelict's a good word. That's not what degenerate or whatever was the word I was looking for. I don't know exactly what it is.
Degenerates.
It just
free people of the North.
Yes. So
use Game of Thrones. The wildlings.
The wildlings. Perfect. The wildlings are allowed to sell booze on the street. And so we're leaving the stadium, and now that's still thousands of people leaving, right? And we're heading towards Bourbon Street, Latin Quarter, whatever. So the majority of people are heading in this direction. And we walk by one of these people selling alcohol, and there's a guy in a suit. And the guy in a suit sees, so this person's kind of packing up for the night, like they're kind of closing up shop. And as their back is turned, they have one cooler left. And this guy in a suit opens their cooler and grabs a beer and like walks away with it, starts drinking it or whatever. And like I had clocked that and it irked me. So like I'm kind of watching it, and the guy runs over and confronts him and is like, "Hey, you got to pay for that." And it was $3 for a can of beer on the street, which I think we could all agree in this room is a pretty good deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? No, nothing wrong with you not gouging anybody. $3 for a street beer, okay, all right with that price. The guy in the suit goes, "Oh, I didn't want to pay for it." Just puts the open beer down on the street and like walks away. So I don't know how long it is after that he catches my eye contact, like, and it goes from eye contact with the suit guy to chirping to he comes over to confront me. Now I'm a very sturdy guy.
The suit guy is confronting you, or the wildling?
The suit guy.
The suit guy, yeah.
Because I am pissed that he just did this to the wildling.
Right.
And I'm visibly making it known, and now we're verbally making it known, and now he's confronting me. And so, one thing about me, I'm not like a huge fight guy, like in the sense of like, it's been years since I boxed. Like I'm not necessarily, I'm trying to say I'm great at fighting.
Yeah.
But I'm very sturdy and deceptively strong. And so like we were at a concert last night. I love concerts, but I love them, an aggressive concert for the reason of not even moshing. Last night was not a band I knew particularly well, so I don't know the whatever, but just people running into me, I'm very sturdy. So this guy goes to give me a big ogre shove.
Yeah.
And I'm just planted, and he gets nothing on it. And I know he's fucked all his momentum. So I just put my hand on his back, and I just push him to the ground immediately. He's full belly up on the ground, belly down on the ground now. And I grab him in a bulldog choke. Nothing good. Like, I didn't get him in like I technically wrapped him up.
Yeah.
I just fucking grabbed his fucking neck real hard and like yanked his head up. And it was one of my proudest moments in that moment, yank his head up and go, "Apologize." Now, granted, the wildling is nowhere. He's not a part of this at all. But I go, "Apologize," whatever. And the guy kind of like submits to the situation. And it did cross my mind to rip his suit. Because in my head, he was in town on business, right? And I thought I ripped his suit.
He'd have to explain that.
He'd have to go in the next day and be like, and now he would just lie about what he'd be like, "I got mugged" or something.
Yeah.
But I let him up.
Well, then you might as well mug him too.
It's true. I could have just stole his jacket. But I let him up. And now remember, we're leaving a Pelicans game. So there's hundreds of people who watched this.
Yeah.
So he has to just like kind of dust himself off now and then re-enter the flow of society. Like no further damage needed to be done. He just got chirped for like 10 minutes trying to get to his destination. And there's just nothing you can do. Like there's no he can't go back to the arena just to get away. Like he's just stuck in a crowd of people who like, I remember one guy yelled, that was faster than McGregor Cowboy because the Donald Cerrone McGregor fight had just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, best fight ever. And all thanks to Zion Williamson. He put me in place for that.
Yeah. He had you all amped up. You're like, if this fat guy can score
five. Yeah. It was kind of like what it was. It is as close to watching the retarded kid sink threes video in the NBA. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny? That one missed me. I was watching it the other day for the first time. I'd heard people reference it.
It'll get me every single time.
Exciting.
Man, I am a crybaby. We watched Risky Business yesterday. That's a fucking horrible. Have you ever watched the movie Risky Business with Tom Cruise? So everyone, yes, of course. And I felt like I had watched it actually once upon a time in my life, and I clearly have not. Do you know what the premise of Risky Business is?
Is he sleeping with an older woman? Am I crazy?
I suppose that does happen.
Okay.
His parents go away for the weekend. So he first his friend suggests they call it dominatrix. He's, by the way, Tom Cruise is supposed to be like 18, 19.
Yeah, I
No,
remember.
like 18 in the movie.
Yeah.
He's graduating high school. And so his friend, first of all, what a strange teenager move. Like, what teenagers are like, oh, call it dominatrix. They're like, who's that sexually advanced that they know that that's what they're into at 18 years old in the 80s, no less. Like, now I guess the kids have demented themselves with porn enough that
They know
maybe
what
there
it-
is an 18-year-old fucking sub out there that wants to get whipped. But, like, in the 80s? So,
Yeah, you'd imagine it's just a friend go, you should get a hooker, bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that's even, now listen, I'm from Windsor, the home of the rub and tug. Like, I mean, we were the sex work capital of Canada. Like, the most strip clubs per capita in the world at the time. Tons of rub and tugs, open escorting. So we had all these escort services in Windsor. So when I was a high school kid, we certainly would call the escort services and then just be like, do you have any fat ones? And they go, hey, and then hang up, whatever. But we never were like, let's seriously get a hooker. Like, that's a strange teenager behavior. And then, so on top of it, so he gets a dominatrix, who then, of course, turns out to be a trans man in the end.
Oh, okay.
In the 80s. So a trans fella shows up to his parents' house. Then the trans fella dings him for some fucking dough because he's like, Tom Cruise is like, I don't want to have sex. Even it was the 80s, so he's like, yuck. So the trans person beats him over the head for like $75, and then which is probably, it was a lot in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's fun about the movie is listening to what was listening to money from that time is very funny now in future context of like the hooker was like definitely working him over, but for $75.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So, and you know a thing or two about this. Not you. That's to your left. But so the trans hooker is very polite and nice, and is
Kind of want to hand him the mic.
defend himself.
Defend himself. Yeah.
But the trans hooker recommends a normal hooker or whatever, and that's the plot of the movie. Is he meets his hooker. The hooker ends up being $300, which he doesn't have on him. So while he's going to get the money, this hooker steals this like egg thing that his parent like is like expensive egg thing.
The old Fabergé eggs that used to be the money thing in every heist. Okay, all right.
So steals this egg thing, and then he's got to find. Anyways, it turns into he just runs a brothel out of his parents' house for the weekend. And that's the plot of Risky Business, is that he drops out of law school or business school and just becomes a pimp. Like Tom Cruise, essentially, the lesson is selling women is like a good business.
I mean, you're preaching to the converted right now.
You really got to watch Risky Business,
Yeah.
honestly, in the end. So, but yeah.
I think there's a general thing of like, there's certain movies that are part of our general pop culture, but we don't really pay attention to what it is. Like,
I
even
just
kids
watched-
would reference it.
I just watched Lost Boys for the first time also this week. And I know we've talked about it off camera. Fucking awesome movie. Like, I mean, one of the great movies of all time. I never sat down and like sat through. If you watch this, send like 80s and 90s classic movies that maybe I've missed, that whatever. Because I always just thought like Lost Boys would be like cheesy
Corny.
horror.
Yeah.
Where it's really just sort of an awesome kids movie that's like set around the idea of vampires.
I know what you were picturing is like a long episode of Buffy.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Like I thought it'd be corny action vampires, or it's kids, like just the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
movie
yeah.
is them stabbing vampires and running around and stuff. I didn't like the tone is awesome. The fucking soundtrack, unbelievable. So, anyways, yeah, we're excited that we went and watched that in up at Kennedy's parents' cottage in Elora, which a beautiful town. That have you ever been to Elora?
I don't think so.
It's like they call it the most road trippable city in Canada because it's like it's about an hour and a half away, and it's. Are you bringing me an afternoon shot right now, Nicola? Jesus Christ! I'm really trying not to be an alcoholic running this place, but everybody makes it very difficult.
Hey, I used to do a show where I would host a music show, and the owner would just get fucking drunk every time I hosted and hit on his bartender. The good thing is, the bartender's your girlfriend, so you know,
I am allowed to openly
You're
sexually harass the
correct.
staff here. So, yeah. Well, that is the first bar I ever worked at in Windsor. So Windsor again, to get back to the sex work
Yep.
and whatever. We were also a great bar town. I was talking about some of this, I think not last night, but the night before. People don't understand, like 9/11 ruined Windsor, right? Where I'm from. We're a border city. You had Michigan State, Ohio State, all within an hour drive of Windsor. So we were slammed every weekend. 50 bars and 4 blocks.
All
We were the
Americans.
best. Yeah, you know, enough of us. You know what was always funny is we'd always hated the Americans.
yeah.
We always had this thing of like, the Americans come here and they get into fights and they cause all these problems. No, they didn't. We did. We got into fights. Americans came there to spend money and have a good time, and we went, stop taking our fucking girls, pricks. While we were spending $15 fucking holding one warm beer for the entire night and standing on a wall, and they came with money and had a good time, and we just got fucking bitter at them.
You were the problem.
We were the problem. We were townies. We were literally townies. And so the first bar I worked at was a place called O. And O was one of, when they list the victims of 9/11, O nightclub should be listed amongst the victims of 9/11. It was owned by the people who opened Circa, the fucking Party Monster people.
Oh, okay.
The Party Monster people opened what was supposed to be, they called it a Toronto-style nightclub. It was the capacity was like 600, but it should have been like 900, but they didn't put enough washrooms in. That's how massive a place it was, right? And so Windsor's nightlife, the way it worked is there was one strip, it was Olette Avenue, and it was, again, 50 bars and 4 blocks. So you would come, you'd come from the States, you'd park down there. You might be staying at one of the hotels. At the beginning of the night, as a promoter of the nightclubs, what we'd do is we'd sneak into the hotels and you'd walk up and down the hallways listening for parties. And if you heard a party, you'd knock on their door and tell them like, hey, I work for such and such nightclub. When you guys are ready to come like party, text me. I'll get you guys in, no cover, no line or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'd stand on street corners, and as groups came up, you would pitch them your nightclub, and there might be 3-4 promoters on every corner.
Yeah.
Right.
We had that here too. You're the flyer guy.
Yeah, essentially. And the idea would be, if you had a good group, you'd walk them to the door and then get them in ahead of the line because you're like, there's like 8 people, 4 girls.
Right.
They look like they'll be productive. We'll get them in ahead. And that all started because there was a bar called Joker's in Windsor. And Joker's nightclub also owned, part owner, Joker's, part of the owner was the owner of O, and then the Circa guy.
There's a lot of that with Club C.
Yeah. Because Joker's is what started Windsor nightlife. They were the first people to do like heavy specials. So we're talking 2007 time, right? And it used to be like $2 Jaeger bombs, $1.50 mixed drinks. I remember my special when I got my first job at a nightclub. I was at O. I was 19, and it was $1.50 sex on the beach. That's what we were selling. Now they were garbage sex on the beaches, but for $1.50, I mean, who could fucking care? So yeah. Now, all the other nightclubs were doing quite well, but we were on the south side of the strip where all the larger nightclubs were. The popular nightclubs when I turned 19 were about 100 capacity, 100, 150, maybe 200. These giant ones, 9/11 killed them because when all of a sudden you had to have a passport to cross the border, we lost a huge percentage of the people who would come across now. Now, it wasn't bad. It was still fun, but it wasn't like what it used to be. So the giant guys got killed. So I got hired at O in its like dying days. Mm-hmm. So Joker's, because it did hot body contests and wet t-shirt contests, and they did the promoters. That's what they revolutionized in Windsor. They had also died at that point. Too many, shitty things happened to a bar after a period of time. Too many assaults, too many fucking probably shootings, probably whatever. And they had like kind of become ghetto, and people had moved on from Joker's. And Joker's was like the shit. There was this guy, Fuzzy Bunny, was the MC of the nights at Joker's. And Fuzzy Bunny got into controversy because he was a part of our first... Like, remember when nudes getting leaked were like...
Cool, yeah.
But it was like a news story at the time, right? This girl, Fuzzy Bunny, had leaked these girls' nudes, and it made like the paper. Like, it was like a huge deal. So he got fired. He was kind of ostracized. That became a huge thing. I now occasionally get into arguments with him on Facebook over conservative issues.
Sure.
Shout out to Drew T. He is a good guy. But... And also, Missy wanted her pussy out there. Anyways, we all know, man. You didn't have a butterfly tattoo put around your pussy because you didn't want to show people it. So, Joker's died, whatever, and then it was Voodoo and Reactor were the two popular nightclubs at the time. Shout out to, and he probably is actually maybe a listener. If he's not, he should be. Is the Beard, great guy, a Windsor legend. People would come. So what the thing is, right? You'd come from Michigan. You'd want no cover. You want that hookup to go. Oh, people would feel like, oh, I know a guy. We can get into this club, no cover, whatever. Meanwhile, the cover was like $2-3. Like, it wasn't like, we were not like $20 nightclubs.
Yeah.
But so the Beard was the greatest promoter in the history of Windsor. He started at Reactor, who. There was two owners owned Voodoo. They split up. One of the owners, Kevin, went across the street and opened up Reactor. He originally had the Beard. Voodoo stole the Beard from him. I remember at the time they offered him $100 a night plus a $50 drink tab is what they paid him. And we thought that was ungodly money because he worked 4 hours. So he was getting paid $25 an hour cash to promote on the fucking street. Whatever, not do a lot of work, and then come in, and he got to do like a $50 bar tab. So if he like met somebody, he could buy him a drink. He could have a drink himself. He could whatever. And at the time, because the two owners had split, they hated each other. So they wanted the promoters to go as far as they possibly could. Like, and this is a good lesson on, think about your own job. And I don't mean you, but the listener at home. Think about your own job and what, don't let your boss make you emotionally attached to your workplace, because that's how they get you, right? Think wrestling, think ECW, right? Paul Heyman was famous for giving great speeches about how they were revolutionizing the wrestling business, but what he wasn't known for was paying people.
Yeah.
So these guys would get these promoters so worked up. They would like show up with like weapons and stuff. There was a very dark period where promoters would like assault each other. Like there was like baseball bat attacks, all to like try to have bar supremacy.
Yeah.
And ultimately, at the end of the night, we were all full. Like the cup runneth over. Like every fucking loser ass bar in the city had like wall to wall people by the end of the night. It was like who got a line first. Like that was like the big thing.
Right,
it was like ultimately you're all crushing. Like so eventually everyone moved into a house together. Everyone had to like rent rooms and like and everybody gets fired eventually, from these jobs. And then you get fired, and you don't have any real loyalty, so you just go across the street and get a job at the rivals, right? So everyone mixed together, whatever, and we came up with like a set of like unwritten rules eventually for promoting, where it's like nobody says something shitty about each other's bar to try to get a group. If somebody's lagging behind, you can call shotgun in a group, and you get to at least the first approach.
Yeah.
And then the other people. We came up with like things to live together in harmony to not make it whatever. At least those bars did.
Yeah.
I worked at O, so I was not part of the community at large, which meant I didn't know the rules. So I work at this big giant nightclub that nobody goes to, but I'm a free man. So I'm going out there on the street every night going, oh shit, yeah. I didn't even realize they reopened that place after the stabbing last week.
Yeah.
We're going to Reactor. Oh, you guys are like gay dudes. I didn't even realize. My apologies. Have a good time. I could really fuck around. So one night I got a line at O. It's one of the proudest days. I'm sorry to say, no matter what I've done in comedy, I've been to Switzerland and I've lived in England and I've been on most of the major festivals in the entire world. Still to this day, one of the prouder moments of my life is getting a line at O nightclub. Like literally probably more people paid attention to that accomplishment in the moment than almost anything I've done in my comedy career. Like promoters were coming from down the street to be like, there's a line at O. You're fucking kidding me. Like what's happening? Is it an underage night? Because O would occasionally do like teen, what did they use? Was it bubble parties? What were the parties where
home parties?
Man, if you wanted to get sexually assaulted, those were a wonderful occasion for it. And by the way, in Windsor, they didn't stop you from going if you were overage. There'd be full 30-year-olds in the fucking bubble parties. Like, it was crazy. But anyways, I remember one night we had a Serbian basketball tournament was in town, and we had that. It was actually in Jokers, but the owners of O had me work it. And so the building was, like, ready for demolish, so they didn't really give a shit. So they had, like, 400 people in it, and I think 3 of us to secure the place. And I remember the Serbians got so crazy at one point. I always wanted to find this song, but there was this like dance song to do. And then at one point the beat would drop and they'd all go, Yugoslavia. And when they did that, they would smash whatever they were holding. They would all just throw a bottle down on the ground. And I remember it was just 3 of us. We had headsets. That was the only time I ever worked bouncing where I had like earpieces in. And I remember the 3 of us just all being like, are you okay over there? Like all we did the entire night was make sure that we were all right. They ripped that bar apart, like destroyed it. And then I remember we had to like, I think we might have left before it was even done. Like I think at some point got out of there for our own safety. It was fucking nuts. They must have had such a good time. Like God bless them. In retrospect,
talk about that. One of them is doing a podcast.
Right now. Yeah, there's a very popular podcast in Serbia right now talking about that night. But they're a much taller person. So all this under the landscape of. Anyways, by the way, I get a line that night. I also not loyal. Reactor offered me, I think, a $2 an hour raise and a cooler bar, and I fucked off the next day. The next day, I worked for Reactor. Such a scumbag. And I left. What had happened was they let me, because I was doing a good job on my own, they let me hire all my friends to work at O, and none of them were good at it. They were all just fucking pothead. I was outgoing. They were all just drug addicts. And so I littered the street with like 5 drug addicts just promoting O. But also we sold weed at the same time. That was the other little racket I had going, was because who you going to ask for weed more than a fucking promoter on the street, right? So I just had 5 people selling weed for me on the street while we did it. And then I fucked off and worked at Reactor and just left them to let O fucking close eventually. They changed the name once more, and then that bar went out of business and then caught fire. A lot of things, a lot of Hebrew lightning in Windsor. We were very big for that. So
interesting.
Yeah.
You hear about that, but you don't. Like how much insurance fraud is really going on? I guess a lot.
Kennedy, how much insurance fraud is there?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. We won't implicate your father in anything, but yeah.
But he knows people who knows people.
He knows people who knows people. Let's say that. Yeah. Windsor was full of it. Rum Runner strip club burned down. The strip clubs and rub and tugs. I don't know if it's all the baby oil the rub and tug that causes them to catch on fire, but they catch on fire. Rub and tugs.
That's actually funny. Is like that's a very easy. If you want to burn your place down, you do just have to go light a match. It's filled with baby oil. Like and it's not a Diddy situation. Like you're allowed to have baby oil. It's a workplace hazard. Well, you're just not allowed to do the things that they do with the baby oil.
You are. You're allowed to jack people off for money in this country.
I thought that was a province per province thing.
No, you're absolutely allowed. Prostitution is legal in Ontario. You just can't advertise you're a prostitute,
Right. Like
which is a very
cigarettes.
strange.
It's the same as cigarettes. Like we can't see a cigarette.
I would
commercial.
love we have a red light district, but we put lung cancer stickers over their naked body. There's just naked girls in a window, but they're like, it's just stickers for venereal diseases and
pictures of divorced husbands.
like people with their bank account is empty.
Yeah.
It's just, they have to just come with their own warnings. That's a great idea.
It's a picture on the door of a guy holding a gun in his mouth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A guy with an empty apartment, and you're like, a hooker did this.
yeah.
Risky business.
Yeah, that would make more sense, and then you can still have them advertised.
Make it safe, make
Yeah.
it legal, and warn customers what's going to happen.
dangers.
You know what I mean? Let everyone know.
So the reason I thought it was province per province base is Montreal was the only place I went to one, and the front lady receptionist, because usually if you've been to them before, it's a hot girl in the front,
Okay.
as well.
The girl is. I imagine the receptionist is better than what's going to happen behind those doors.
Not every time, but a lot of times. Similar
Okay.
to strip clubs. You go to strip clubs, there's waitresses that are like crazy hot.
Yeah. And they're like, yeah.
But this one was a lady who looked like Betty White. Just
Sure.
real nice lady or
That's
whatever.
really adorable. That
Yes.
just a grandmotherly lady getting you hand jobs.
And no, she doesn't give you the hand. She's just
Well,
a
no, not
receptionist.
giving, but just getting.
Yeah, getting.
She's a part of
yes.
the process.
Supplying.
Yeah. She's not unrelated to the hand job, that lady.
And she so nicely explained how legal and normal it was. And she's like, yep, I'll give you a book. Here's your book. You can look at the different women that we have. Very nice girls. And it's very normal. We're allowed to have this in Montreal or whatever. That's what she said. And then we're like, okay, thanks, Sally, or whatever her name was. And, went to,
Yeah.
and then my friend went to the same girl as me. And that kind of bothered me.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah.
You know what? And also, you know what nobody talks about with all this AI technology stuff is that lady's probably a kiosk now.
That's sad.
You know what I mean?
That self-serve
Yeah.
rub and tug. I don't like that.
That lady's because Also, and you don't really want to touch the binder either. But you definitely there's still. I hope there is some lady there to still wipe down the screen of that kiosk. Yeah. But yeah, you'd be much better off now with probably just a giant black guy who makes sure the screen is okay and can protect the women more than the Betty White type character. Because you probably always had to employ the giant black guy
That's what I
at
was
some
gonna
point.
Say. He's probably he's just not the front.
Yeah. He gets like a chill room, whatever. Do you think that guy, do you ever stop to consider that? Do you think there's a giant black guy that watches you get a hand job on a computer monitor in every one of those places?
Yeah, a high amount. Not everyone, but I think
You
it's,
probably have to need to
Yeah.
consider. If you're a guy who likes to frequent those establishments, there's probably a fella who watches you get jacked off every time.
yeah, and
I wish
assume for
Regia
him,
was here for this.
That's. I know he needs a job.
It might change his opinion on going to a Lady of the Night if he knew that there was some security guard, making a gay on him.
No, I would convince him. You got to think past that. You got to just enjoy yourself, find the pleasures in life.
Yeah.
I think about people judging going to a prostitute and stuff, and I gotta say, you always have to have your limits. Come on, even if you're a super feminist woman, someone like Regia, you gotta let that one go, right?
I think the government should be covering it for Regia.
Yeah, it should
so
be a
people at
ODSP.
home that don't know, Regia is our cerebral palsy friend. And
Everybody has one.
yeah, you have to, I think legally. And that's what they said in the census. But they, in a situation like Regia, I think the government should be part of his benefits. You get to go for not crazy. If he wants to go every day, that's on him.
No, yeah.
But I don't know, what's
do
a
you
good
think-
what's a good
That's what I was gonna
amount?
ask.
4 hand jobs a month?
No, that's too much.
Too many? Okay,
That's
one
too
a month.
much. Yeah, because there's guys who are just single and sad, and they're not. I'm thinking one a month.
No, I'm not saying that it should be covered for everybody. It should be part of ODSB.
Yes, but I'm saying it's getting past reasonable. I think one a month.
One a month. Yeah,
I
that's
think
fine.
you cannot go without sex as any regular reasonable human being. for a month. You're
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the month, you're like, I haven't had sex yet. Let me catch one of these,
Whatever. Can you bank them? Or do you have to use your monthly?
I see it as some sort of claim reimbursement. So it's like, I guess you could bank them, but you may have to show that the purchase happened in a month, and you could reimburse it later. But it would the dates. Now I'm sure there'd be some rub and tug places that would fudge those dates so that you could bank them, and then they would just put February, even though you did it in March.
How many rub and tug places do you think are taking people's insurance for rub and tugs? That's probably happening a lot. I bet you that happens a fuck ton. I wonder how many massage insurance claims. Because if you're a rub and tug, why wouldn't you? Right? Like, I watched this guy. He does like Detroit housing flips or whatever, like apartment flips. And inevitably, if the landlord is there, he always explains to them like, oh, you could do Section 8 housing and you'll get like such and such amount of money and it's guaranteed. It comes right from the government. And that's always implied. So if you're a rub and tug, and you could get...
Sorry, I had to look around because I'm like, I smell so much cigar all of a sudden, and I'm like, where is Reja? That's his smell.
Yeah. He's upstairs. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I think you have to look at the more legitimate looking massage places that do that, which do exist.
Yeah, they're going to have to keep their name fairly vague.
Yes, which a lot of them go with like wellness.
Yeah.
Wellness
really
means
interesting.
If you see wellness, not every time, but there's a lot of wellness centers that are cum centers.
Cum centers.
Yeah. I just mean like this probably won't work. Like my company, we give us Sun Life benefits.
Yeah.
I probably couldn't go to like an apartment over a convenience store that has red lights on it.
Yeah.
And reimburse that. But yeah, if it's like a wellness center, like there's one by my parents. I've never been there, but I've just highly suspected that it's a rub and tug.
I
but
love
it's
the
next
idea
to a TD Bank.
They're like, Sanker, why do you always get your massages by the airport? Why is there the best masseuses are by the airport?
My eventual job is moving towards the airport, so they won't question that.
That's great. Yeah. There you go.
Closest right after work.
Yeah. The amount of fraudulent things and like. Yeah. It does make you realize at a certain point, like last night we went to a concert and we came home and there was a Turkish restaurant and there was a cop with his lights on parked kind of like a couple spaces down from it. And then we went inside to grab our food and there's a cop there and I'm like, oh, that's for sure him. And I'm just like, you just have your emergency lights on to get like this city is quickly spiraling into where it's like if you're following the rules in any way, you're kind of just a sucker now.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like obviously you got to pick and choose. Like it makes me think back to getting deported. That I didn't put up more of a fight about the fact that it's like, guys, you let millions of people in. Yeah. And like I'm getting stopped ultimately of everybody. Like I at least had a visa. Like I was trying and I just ended up in an unfortunate circumstance. But meanwhile, there's just, there's millions of people flooding in. Like at a certain point you start going like, why do I follow any, like we were looking for apartments and like, listen, I don't want to get overly into mine or Kennedy's financials and whatever, but like, Kennedy more so. Listen, we have this place now, and the place is going well, and we're, we have a level of comfort. It's a lot of work, and it's a stressful business because you don't know what's coming in necessarily any given day. But we've put enough stuff on the table that we know roughly our shit's covered.
Doing all right, yeah.
And she has other investments and things from her prior life, and a decent chunk of change in the bank to where you wouldn't think, like right now, she could go buy. I don't want to say a whole house cash, but I mean, like, she could go be buying a pretty serious house right now, and that would not be a problem, right? But then renting a place was almost infinitely more difficult in a way. Like, now, granted, it was a lot of, at first we were looking at, like, big condo buildings, whatever, like, and, like, with, like, kind of, like, newer buildings and whatever that are all just investment people, and had a hard time with all of it. And so we kind of got our like, you just never knew where we had to sort of like have our backup. Like, because I'm such a cash person, sometimes we had to be like, oh, let's not include me on this lease because I'm a bad look. Which is a silly thing right to begin with if you think about it, right? If you're like, there's certainly, and thankfully the place we got in the end, I would say ultimately I'm kind of glad we didn't get any of the places that came before it, because this place sort of fit everyone we wanted as close to perfect as any of them did. So like ultimately very happy with where we ended up. Mm-hmm. But there was a couple of times where I had to like look at it and go like, oh, I cost us that fucking place because I'm a liability, which is kind of retarded because I'm like, well, I'm not going to take much. Like, I don't know. What am I going to, I'm not costing anything. So like ultimately if I'm there, I must be worth something, right? Like, they can't assume I'm making zero money all the time. So the fact that like me being on it, hurting it was like, it just shows you that there's like a gap. They're so concerned with like certain check marks that they're not actually really thinking about it. Because if you thought about it, you'd go, oh, okay, he's a comedian. He owns like a venue. And so the business is kind of hard to whatever. But again, he's probably not worth, is he worth $100 a month? Like literally, like I could be panhandling and I'm better than her not having somebody else. Yeah. So that's already silly. So then there's just one place we were looking at, and I had messaged about it early in our search, and we were a little cockier at the time about what it was before we had been rejected by a place or two. And so we were like, whatever, like we weren't overly concerned with it. And so the guy had asked for like a full application to see the place. This is like a new thing they do now. They won't even show you apartments now unless you prove that you can, like instead of seeing the place and then applying for it and then they approve you, they want to approve you before they even show it to you now. Like a full, and by the way, including, and some of them thankfully will say, hey, skip that part because they're not fucking lunatics. But some of it has SIN numbers on it. Like, so what happens is the place that we want to see, he's an Asian fella. He seems pretty Asian. And he's asking for all this. And he's like, well, I need to know who you are because I'm going to be in the apartment with you and you could be dangerous or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, but you could be dangerous. Like, I'm going to your place. Could be fucking Home Alone in there for all. There could be a paint can swings down.
Sure,
the knob's on fire. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what I'm going to. You at least get the jump on me, right? So we kind of argue back and forth about it. And I told the guy in the moment, and I will say, I was right. I was like, hey, man, this ain't 2020 anymore. It's a different, the rental market is as annoying as this process was. And the fact we got rejected, prices are down. Shit ain't hot. People aren't moving up in their stations in life right now. People are moving down. So like you're getting people who had a better place coming to you, not people from a worse position in life coming up to you. Mm-hmm. So like we're in kind of a rare situation with how the world is kind of going right now. So I kind of told him in a moment, I was like, dog, you're not going to rent it like this. Like you're going to have more trouble than you think. And so we moved on from it. We never saw the place. We looked around, we whatever. And so finally, we just had her reach out. So what happened was, over the course of the month, we're looking for an apartment. The price goes down once. And I'm like, oh, okay. There you go. I told you.
That same place, the Asian guy place.
The Asian guy's place has a price reduction, $150 a month. And I'm like, okay. But we still don't bother. She was very much into, I think we were in the phase where the condo buildings were very appealing to us. And so we weren't really like looking at what his place was again. So we moved off of it. And then he had another price reduction. He went down another $100.
Wow, that's a lot now.
$250 a month. So we're like, okay, it's finally time. And we went and saw this other building. And by the way, if you're looking for a place, first of all, if you're looking for a place and you see this week, I am getting rid of my apartment, and I would love for a single comedian to move into where I was living. It's fucking perfect for a solo person. It's just the two of us have lived there for a year practically. So, $13.40 a month, everything included, including internet on Queen Street near Bathurst. everything you need. So you're living by yourself, not SRO bullshit. You have everything you need. Anyways, so we're going to go see this place. We found another building we liked. That's where I was at. Right by Grange Park. Nice walkout. Kind of a little bit further east down Queen Street. I was like, I could live here. We both sort of saw it. We for sure we're going to get it. And we were like, this is an all right place. But we had one more showing to see, and it was this guy. Now, of course, when Kennedy reached out for the apartment, he didn't ask for a fucking application. She's a hot girl. So he was more than comfortable to show her the apartment with no identification whatsoever. But then, surprise, I was there. And the whole time, I'm just hoping he doesn't, like, ask who I am.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, I don't want him knowing, like... So, because we've had, like, a text exchange of unpleasantries. Like, we went back and forth over text arguing, where I was like... You're an idiot. This isn't going to happen. You can't ask for this much information. You're fucked up and whatever. And so we see it. It's and like, this is what you need if you're looking for a place. Whatever city you live in, look for the place with terrible fucking pictures. If you look at a listing and you're like, why is there only 6 fucking pictures of this? And a bunch of them are like redundant or stupid. That person doesn't know what they're doing, and you're probably about to get a really good deal. So we walk into this place we thought was a 1-bedroom. It's like a 3-bedroom. There's a fully fenced in backyard, like deck area. It's perfect. It's right on. It's everything we wanted. And like, so we're trying not to act too excited. You know, if he's asking questions, the best way to handle like a really Chinese person, especially like landlords or bosses, and if you have like a Chinese person of authority in your life, what you need to do is flood the zone on them. Like if they ask you a question you don't really want to answer, you just need to say like a lot of other stuff, right? Like if you have a cash job and you're kind of nervous to explain that to them, what you got to do is you got to go, oh, we own this venue and it's cash, but oh man, we've been going. Do you watch Seinfeld? We had the guy from Seinfeld there. Right. He's the Kenny Bania guy, the soup fella. We did great that
More
night.
detail.
We have all the. But it's not even about what you're saying. He doesn't have any fucking clue what I'm saying. You just say enough positive nonsense that eventually he just fucking taps out and goes, I don't even know, but I guess that sounds fine. You said a lot of stuff, and I know enough words in there that sound positive that I'm going to leave it alone. And but we still couldn't apply with me on it. We didn't want to risk it, right? So we kept me off the lease. Now, again, Kennedy has like her income and stuff that's aside from here comes from investments and from like whatever. So I don't want to overly disclose her business, but it's still sort of unconventional, not 9-to-5 type stuff.
Right.
So we still got to kind of sell him on all of that. And so what do she owned her own business. But like, you'd think that'd be impressive. Like you'd think, hey, I own my own business and here's fairly provable. I got mortgages and I got whatever. No. They still just want to know you just go work at Starbucks for whatever. So we had to put me down as her employer on her own business. You wanted me to. Oh, also that. All right. All right. Well, that part didn't happen or whatever. I didn't answer the phone to the same Chinese man. You think he's going to watch the podcast at some point? You think the Chinese landlord is going to watch the podcast?
I do use AI to release this in Mandarin.
Yeah, but he's Cantonese, so we'll be fine.
Oh, yeah. They mostly are.
And also, that was the other thing, is because she has a history of doing real estate. So instead of giving her a lease and then being like, oh, just make sure everything is like, do a sign back.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, can you write yourself a lease and then send it to me? And then, so we wrote the lease. She wrote the lease.
Yeah.
And then sent it back. We did try to get he did read it because we did try to get away with a 2-year lease instead of a 1-year lease. We were trying to lock ourselves in for an extra year and then cross that out and fix it to 1-year lease. But like, we could have sent back just nonsense. Like, it was a crazy request to hear a guy
that's
go.
just so funny. That's like, I mean, this is an exaggeration, but that's like, hey, I want to hire you for my catacombs business.
Sure.
Write yourself an offer letter, and I'll sign it. It's like,
Also,
what?
yeah.
Woo, what? No.
Yeah.
Write me an offer letter. I'll sign
But this is exactly who you want to rent from.
Yeah.
This is the guy that like is not going to do the work on like, okay, let me take better pictures. Let me whatever. Let me really sell this place. Like, this fucking place is a coat of paint and like whatever away from being like 3,200.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he could have got like an extra G out of this fucking apartment if he had just put like proper work into the place. But which we'll do, by the way. Like, that's the thing. We're also the type of people you want to rent to at the same time, because we will
Beautify
paint
it.
it and
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Even this is why people should be renting the place that I'm leaving. We painted it nice. We installed a fucking new fan with a remote control fan that does the light. Like, we actually made like quite a few significant improvements to the place. And like, yeah, so that's if you want like renting to us, and when I say us, I mean Kennedy, but like, you know, she will like make a place nice, you know? So that place will be worth more as we leave.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we got a new place. I am not going to reveal exactly where it is to a lot of comedians. That the last time I had a place that comedians could come visit, it got to be too much of a place where people tried to come visit all the fucking time. So.
Also, there's a difference, but it's cool to have the place. You and the boys.
Yeah.
Whether you still like the boys.
Yeah.
Now you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a slightly different
like,
scenario. You're invited to the housewarming, no?
Well, housewarming is different.
Yes,
thank
yes,
you, and
yes,
I will
yeah.
attend. Housewarming is different. Same thing. Trish and I have a place. It's a nice place, and I probably have a friend here and there come and hang out, and we'll watch whatever. I'm not having parties at my place. Like I'm old, first of all, but also it's a place with my girl. It's different when you got a place with the boys.
Yeah. Well, especially when one of the boys is a recovering alcoholic and drug addict.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways, we got the place, and nothing is really like, what's crazy about it is nothing is actually crooked about any of it. Like, all of the things are real. It's just impossible to prove. And like, we're in a city full of people. And like, think about, I did the talk on housing. I've done a few episodes on the housing thing and the new bill where now after a year, you don't just automatically go month to month. Like, they decide if you go month to month, or they can just kick you out after your lease is done, right? Like, one, every lunatic who thinks they can get an extra $50 a month is going to do that, and it's going to cause a fucking huge disaster. But also, like, it's so, people don't, as we stop having, like, think about as AI and all these things are hitting, we're more and more a gig economy. Like, you can't tell me what percentage of the workforce now is Uber Eats drivers? Like, what percentage of the workforce is gig economy, right? So you're telling me that these gig economy guys, now I don't know what an Uber Eats driver makes, but God bless, I hope it's enough to like afford an okay apartment between like them and a partner.
It's not how it works. They're going to be living in your, let's call it your old apartment.
Yeah.
With 3 guys.
It's getting crazy that like, where are they going to, like, we don't have much of that. First of all, everything we've built in this city in the last 10 years is the fucking high rises, right? Like, nobody's building, like, ours is above a retail. That's my favorite way to live. I like being on a busy street above a retail store. I like it. Mm-hmm. So like, I don't mean retail clothing, just a non-restaurant place underneath you is perfect. We're not building more of those. Like, no more of those are coming. None of these places are going to add an addition on top. Yeah. Like, what's here is here. Like, any of these, like, granny suites that maybe, whatever. Every house in this fucking city has been granny suited. You don't find a single occupancy fucking home in the goddamn all of downtown at this point. If you have a house in Toronto that you haven't income propertied out a part of, God bless you. Mm-hmm. You have a diamond. Like, there's so few of those left, right? So, like, where do these people go? And there's more and more of them. Where the fuck are they supposed to go?
I picture when we're developing the city now, this is what they want, is they want a bunch of high rises next to each other nonstop, and then a Walmart and a Jack Astor's. And that's we all go to those two places.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, it is getting particularly bad. Like, yeah, it's scary to think like we're in a like pretty stable economic situation in comparison to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like you got to remind yourself that, man, it's the majority of people. Like, I know people get down on them fucking selves about their situation in life, but it's not like anecdotal. Like, you're not in some small pool. I know that we've gotten so far away from the 99%, and I know that the 99% doesn't encompass everybody. There are a lot of people in the 99% not struggling with their rent. I get that. Like, that's why Bernie had to change it to the top 1% of whatever, you know, because a lot of people that don't realize they're in that 1% are in that 1%. But like, yeah, it's pretty fucked up. And like, I don't know where these people go eventually. Like, and they're busting their ass. As much as I hate the Uber Eats drivers, I fucking despise them. Like, they're nothing but a hazard down here. They're the most unlikable part about living on Queen Street, ultimately, is the Uber Eats drivers. But you still got to feel a little bad where you're like, you work all goddamn day, and like, I don't know how you went. Now, this is also, by the way, to the people who don't like Indian people and don't like that they're creating enclaves in Brampton and like their own little pockets, and that they all, they live 8 or 9 in a house or whatever. Do you think they want to live 8 or 9 in a house? Or do you think that that's the only place that's kind of going to rent to them ultimately? Yeah. And if your life is already dog shit, like, why not, instead of spending $1,200 for maybe your own place in a basement of maybe, or $1,200 for like a bit better of a room on your own in the city, you could spend $600 and sleep in a bunk bed with another Indian guy, like in a room. And like, a lot of them are going to choose that because at a certain point, it's not a ton more dignity to the other choice, and it's twice as much money. Mm-hmm. So anyways, all right. Do you want to hit me with one of these topics that you brought before we go?
Yeah, we're towards. Well, I think the most applicable one was something I forgot. I think I forgot to write it in the thing. Is I had this question, and maybe this is a good question to end on because we're at an hour anyway. Cool. Right? I was thinking about this, is how bad things are getting. Because I was watching a video about like how Airbnb is part of the ruin of the housing market, and it was just talking. It got into like a lot of the problem with the economy right now and everything. And I thought about this. I'm like, I just got this feeling that a first world country within the next 50 years is going to have a revolution. And I don't mean like some goofy whatever. I'm talking about U.S., Canada, France, Britain, whatever ones you want to name, China, Russia, whatever. So this was my question to you, is which country do you think you could see a revolution first world?
Well, it's going to be America first because it's going to be the country that relies the most on their bootstraps, right?
Right.
Now, when I say first, first in the country that's going to have, will Venezuela have another revolution?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's put those aside. Yeah. I'm talking about one with nice Starbuckses and stuff is going to head into like, we're actually fighting on the streets and killing more Luigi Mangione, whatever,
So it's funny. I love everything that you just said, and I think this is a perfect thing to end on because it actually, I wasn't thinking about this, but this was something I wanted to talk about this week, and I actually do think it's going to be fairly impactful in the direction that you're talking about. Yep. How familiar with Thomas Massey are you?
Thomas Massey, none. No.
So Thomas Massey was the governor of Kentucky. He is what right-wing, like what a libertarian would consider their best friend in Congress.
Okay.
So if there was a bill to spend more money, even if the bill had, let's say, 50 yeses and 1 no, that 1 no was Thomas Massey every single time. Yeah. He is real deal. He would never vote to spend. He ran on cutting spending, so he would never sign onto a bill that increased spending. Doesn't matter if he liked the thing, if his people, like if Republicans liked the thing, he wouldn't, whatever. He hammered home the Epstein thing the most. Like Massey is a genuine, true blue, civil servant, man of the people. We got too far away from that term for politicians, for cops, for whatever. You're a civil servant. I think that's a great term we need to bring back a little bit to like remind people who people work for a little. And so what happened is that finally they decided, the Republican Party decided they needed to do something about Thomas Massey. And so are you familiar with Miriam Adelson or
No,
Sheldon Adelson,
even
if you
less.
remember? So
Yeah.
they're a very rich family in Las Vegas who happens to love Israel and also love funding politicians to do what they want. Many people claim that this last Trump election came on the money of Miriam Adelson. But that's why a lot of these things went where Trump was sort of an anti-interventionist guy who is now loves helping Israel do whatever Israel wants to do. A lot of people say that's Miriam Adelson. So Miriam Adelson did not like Thomas Massey and did not like Thomas Massey's view on Israel and some other issues. So she spent $32 million having him defeated in a primary in Kentucky. I think they made a mistake when it came to protecting their shit. I think Thomas Massey might be a step too far. Thomas Massey is the proving point that we don't have a democracy anymore. That if someone can just come in blatantly. Now, does money affect every single election? Absolutely it does. Of course it does. But is that the most naked version of it? This is the most naked version of it we've ever had. Of just straight up, the will of the people just doesn't actually matter. And it's their own. Remember when people will say Bernie got robbed by the Democrats, myself being one of them, and the name Debbie Wasserman Schultz, does that mean anything to you? She was the head of the DNC at the time when Bernie basically everybody dropped out to consolidate around Joe Biden and fuck Bernie over. And that's when Tulsi Gabbard, who at the time I loved, she was the vice chair of the DNC. She stepped down in solidarity with Bernie, basically cementing like, hey, the fix was in. You guys fucked over Bernie.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people didn't. Bernie was a little more divisive, I'd say, than Thomas Massey was in a lot of ways. The much higher percentage of Republicans respected Thomas Massey than I would say the overall Democratic Party liked Bernie.
Right.
So this one's going to be even more strikingly, and now it's on the other side of the aisle, which had done a very good job. Republicans, for a very good job, made it seem like they were listening to their people. They did a way better job of going, hey, we hear you, and we're going in your direction, which is why things got a little kooky even. But the kookiness was still at least them listening to their base and going in that direction. So this is them completely, the Iran war, continuing things in Palestine, now Thomas Massey. There are too many things in a row, right? Too many layoffs from AI, too many whatever. It will come from America. You just have to hope it goes in the right direction. And thankfully, Zoran, at least in New York, is doing a good enough job to maybe give hope that it's going to go in its sort of left position as Nicola comes in the room and was going to tell us about Austrian economics or some horseshit. But
I learned from you for culture. My takes are from you.
I think America will be the country. It's not going to be Canada because, like, listen, again, I've said, we also just bought in on, first of all, things aren't bad enough here. It needs to be a place that's bad enough, but it's also not guns. See, this is what the right-wing people get wrong, too. The revolution will not come from guns, and if it does, we're smoked. Like, look at what drones did. The country of Iran can fight off the country of America now because they have drones. And unless we're all of a sudden in control of a bunch of drones that are going to fight the government, we're not going to fight it off. General strikes. We just need to strike. This is why lefties are the only people who get real bottom-up revolutions done, because at the end of the day, as corny as it is, and how many fat blue-haired lesbians have said, seize the means of production, they ain't going to be the one, hey, fucking Big Dyke, you ain't going to be the one that sees the means of production because you don't know how the machine works. So you sit that one out and you make the signs for when we pick it. How does that sound? It's going to be the boys. The boys are going to have to do it. Women, you can strike too. Like, there are lots of women who are valuable in the workforce. That this is why I've always said the wage gap. My argument against the wage gap has always been, then strike. Like, then just strike. If you believe what you're saying, walk the fuck out and show us how valuable women are. And then, but the problem is there is no wage gap. It doesn't actually exist. So then nothing would actually be getting closed, because it's just not. Dave Smith is, and I'm sure, I don't know if he's the originator of this point. Also, by the way, still tickets available for June 5th right here in Toronto at Parkdale Hall. I'll be opening. Get them now. But Dave Smith always said about the wage gap, and it was always a great point. If there was a true wage gap between men and women, there wouldn't be a company on earth that would hire men over women, because they care way more about profits than they do your gender. So if women were doing the same job for 15 cents less an hour, you'd have nothing about women employees, because they care way more about 15 cents an hour than they do about women or men.
Right.
So, but anyways, the point is, if you feel that way, walk out. We need to do all of this in the next 10 years. Because yes, they are replacing us slowly. And like, we have to walk out while we're still en masse. One day they are going to take the jobs. And by the way, whatever. Our ultimate destiny on this earth shouldn't be working at fucking McDonald's. Let those jobs go. Like, there should be way more freedom and time to pursue things that you need, but not everyone's going to pursue something good. A lot of people are going to pursue a lot of negative things. They're going to do drugs. They're going to become self-destructive because they don't have a thing to do every day. We're going to need to organize that. It's not, I believe in universal basic income, but it's not as simple as here's your check and now you don't got to do anything. That check should come with conditions. Here's more than enough money to live and live with dignity, because we took your job away. We automated it. We made it more efficient. And now that job doesn't need to exist anymore. Fine. That's where it's going. And we all need to deal with it. But we should get the check. And that's my leftist perspective. But let me come to it from a right-wing perspective. Because yes, right-wingers are right. If we hand everybody a check and tell them they don't have to do anything, that's going to ruin everyone's reason for living on this planet. So guess what? You can sign up with that check for some military service. You want to do military service? Fine. I get that. I find a lot of things about that morally reprehensible. So maybe you work in the forest. Maybe you clean the forest floor so we wouldn't have so many of these fucking wildfires all the time. Hey, we have railroads that need to be built. Here's a fucking check for it. It's not like the old days, but we need high-speed rail, right? And how do you make all these new immigrants feel like part of all of this? More than make them part of all of this. If we could actually catch some of these European countries and Japan in high-speed rail, wouldn't you, as a new Canadian, feel way more Canadian? And like, say you're an Indian guy in this country and some guy wants to come to you and go back to your fucking, what do you have to do with, I built the railroad, motherfucker. That's what immigrants used to be able to say. Immigrants to this country used to be able to go, nah, I came here and I did something that we all benefit from. So you can kick fucking rocks about all your fucking xenophobic horse shit. You get to go to fucking Sudbury in 2 hours now because I did that shit. That's what we need. Kill the fucking jobs. Who fucking cares? We don't need every fucking Indian guy that shows up here delivering us food and nothing else. They can live a better life than that. We could tax the people at the very top. It doesn't need to be just lefty. The left doesn't have the answer singularly. The right, and if we rely on bootstraps and fucking do-it-yourselfism, we're going to be dead. We're going to be fucking, like, that doesn't work either. That shit is going to leave a lot of people homeless and fucking dead in the street too, right? The left will have you be a homeless drug addict in your house. The right will have you be a homeless drug addict on the street. That's the only difference between the two of them. So you need to figure out the best ideas from the left and the best ideas for the right. You can get the free check because we took your job away, but you're going to go sweep the forest. How does that sound? You get to pick whatever one it is that you like. You can go. By the way, we have enough drug addicts on the street. Go be a fucking counselor. Go clean that shit up a little bit. Go help them, whatever. There are lots of things for us to be doing. We are not lacking purpose in this fucking world. Half of us are fucking podcasters now. So, like, if the other half just has to pick up needles and make sure the forest isn't on fire, I think that's enough. There's enough things. Anyways, we're going to go employ some people over at Java House. Have a good week. Goodbye.